the right thing. And so far, so good. I think the person we use is doing pretty well. Yes, some people are trying to sideline, but we continue to show that I'm the right of this administration, and it's the right administration. Just imagine whenever is in charge, everything changes in Nigeria. Because whenever is in charge, everything changes. And whatever he handles, some success, whatever progress he handles, he delivers. Have you noticed that too? So he's managing it well. And besides that, everybody knows that this, despite all this outstanding policy without him, he's very, very loyal to the president. People know that he's better than the president. We know, but those things, don't get into his head. So he's an embodiment of what we are calling Oluwadi. And the fact that he's a pastor, everything is Christianness without him. They are just on that number. So this one is so fantastic. Now, in our assessment, we happen to be one of the best vice VP we had in our recent history. Very, very brilliant, well, disciplined, upright, and all of that. So I think the person we use is actually dealing with the situation perfectly well. Thank you.
Yes, I think we are talk about leadership, what it takes to lead, the challenges and coping with many external, internal, social challenges. And now before we close the formal opening of this summit, I think this week, I want to have something to tell us.
We will formally help us close the
formal. So tell us that formally, we close the opening before we have an interlude and to continue with the program.
Members of the table, ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that we have had a very good time with the first lecture that we had. And it is my hope that you are taking notes, and those notes or whatever we have had is going to guide us in our future endeavors. Like the professor said, Achievers University is one of the universities, or maybe the only university that allows student community to thrive. So it is my hope every opportunity that this forum has given unto us, so that we make the best use of it. So like he has said also, I will not be able to be here throughout this part of the lectures. I hope you will stay and be attentive and listen to other lectures that are going to be given. And at the end of the day, we all come out better than the way we came in. So on this note, I want to declare the open session closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The members of management have taken time to be with us at the time schedule for the formal opening. Without wasting time, we want to, please you may take your seats.
we want to go into the next session, but just for you stretching your leg where you are, we have a user summit gift for MTN user, Glo user, Airtel user. So bring out your phone. I will invite the Vice President, Mr. Akingbemisilu Dennis. Please come and take that off quickly so that we will go to the next presentation.
I'd like to thank Facilitator for the presentation. Before we continue, I hope the MTN that are ready. Are you ready? MTN close. 954-787-682-625-8240.
If you have won it, let's show how much credit.
Okay. 950-104-299-289-353. 950-104-299-289-353.
Who got it? Who got the glow? How much? Clap for user now.
For the other users, 159-116-1106-4728. 159-116-1106-8473. Are you typing it now?
Who got it? How much? Okay. Clap for you, sir. MC. Plenty more, plenty more. So watch out for the next interlude.
Okay. I hope you are enjoying yourself and you are enjoying the session. So please, smart enough for the next one. By the time you have the next interlude, so it should be your turn. Don't worry. Now we have wasting time. We want to proceed, and then we go to the second presentation. We want to look at the parliamentary procedures. Now, uncle, then during my early days, the polytechnic, I need to be Adidas. We used to call him Adidas.
And it's still Adidas.
And it's still Adidas. And it still continue to be Adidas. I want to invite Adebayo Olagunju for his citation.
Good day, everyone. It's a great privilege to reach citation of one of our speakers at today's summit, the President of Mr. Abiola Obanoyen. I have the privilege and don't want to read citation. Mr. Abiola Obanoyen was born in July 1931 in the early 80s. He's a farmer, a quantity surveyor, an environmental planner, a project manager, and then compare and chairman, then Labour Party or local government. He's a trade unionist, an imperial optimist, and apostle of a greater Nigeria. He has served in numerous positions and are brief as follows. He was president, student union government, which was given Polytechnic, Award 2008. He has also served as member of Nigerian Youth Parliament from 2009 to 2011. He has served as special assistant on student and youth affairs to the Ondo State Governor, Dr. Olusegun from 2016 to 2017. He is presently a lecturer in the Department of Quantity Surveying, which was given Polytechnic, and is currently running his master's project. I present to you, everyone, Mr. Abiola Obanoyen.
Sorry, I will take your indulgence to please listen very well to this session because it's very important. Parliamentary procedure. I, your DSA, I learned some of these things in the position of leadership. How to run meetings, how to direct affairs of organization, budgeting, and what have you. So we have a seasoned administrator who is qualified to handle that. So please listen very well to add to your meeting. Thank you, Mr. Obama. You are welcome.
Thank you very much. The student affairs are very broad. Thank you for putting this moment together. Distinguished speakers, particularly Diamongd Group Nigeria, Diamongd Toyyib Musa-Olaniyi is a very big reform whom we are still undergoing tutelage under the school of thought. The next one, Taiwo, I thank you very big for explaining me ICT. Thank you. Your Excellency, the President and Commander of the Armed Forces, both seen and unseen of the Student Union. Mr. President. Distinguished members of the Cabinet of the Student Association, Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, of the AU Student Association, principal members of the Parliament, gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I have to apologize that as soon as I quickly deliver this session, you have to excuse me, I have an event to prepare in correct. So I got 40 minutes. I'll probably speak to exact 40 minutes or less as this meeting. But before I proceed, I'd like to especially refer a friend here whom I've last seen in 2008, 2009. And it's an accidental that I'm seeing it again. And if it is accidental, then it's a good accident for me, because I've always wished to see you one more time. And if it is accidental because of the discourse or the importance of the discourse of today, then there is something God is saying. When I was the president of the Student Union, there was the speaker of the Student Council. So, Speaker Bode, I thank you for coming. And if the place of the permits me, we have a question Speaker Bode be brought to the high table. Approved. In every session that I'll be sharing with all of you has a direct link to what we both have as president and speaker. Now, if the Senate president of the Student Union is there, is the SP here, please? The Senate president is in there. Senate president. Okay, Student Union. Okay, this one. Do you run by camera legislature? Interesting. The first in Nigeria. There are very speakers. Mr. Speaker, please come on.
Let's then parliamentary proceeding is cheap, easy, and perhaps the most difficult obligation of anyone's democracy. But for the imperative of our society union, especially the background that I was coming from, and I will have to deal with these issues as if I am not in Jasper University, because the culture here generally differs from the backgrounds that we came from. Engineer Israel was former president of the Student Union, the first Christian to be president in a Muslim community. And you imagine how difficult it is for you, and how the way the other part of the country. And I have a dream. And usually I will wait for that in the middle of the night to pray against the dream, whether good or bad. And on Friday, when I retire to the mosque, I'm going to do it Thanksgiving. And a popular way of praising our Almighty Allah in the mosque, all will sit at together. And everybody will say, Allah Akbar. Everybody to be Jamon. But if you go to the church too, on Sunday people go for Thanksgiving, they will say before, I know the way, but now I know the way. Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
But within the student union environment, those non-beliefs are forbidden. But for us to unleash the catalytic catastrophe and calculated calamities on all of our enemies, particularly government, who have commercialized and privatized education in Nigeria, we have a different language to say to it. I want to join you to say, of the greatest Nigerian student, articulate Nigerian student, ever consocious Nigerian student, ever conscious Nigerian student, ever dynamic Nigerian student, great people, radical people, militant baba, intellectual people, radical hero, sure, Leo, no, silent, teach you one or two songs, but don't sing it when the project is there. And then we can still talk to the Lagos mention the processor is the great father that we recently inducted as one of our role models. There are just 100 of them for the past. Another challenge you, another challenge you, another challenge you, double challenge you. Another challenge you, another challenge you, another challenge you, double challenge you. Since Mama Bomi sabi corruption, since Mama Bomi sabi corruption, when I enter Nigeria, I don't sabi corruption, I don't sabi you, another challenge you, another challenge you, another challenge you. Another challenge you, double challenge you. Of the greatest adventure. Why are all these essentially imperative? Because we believe in the student portfolio, student union system. That must be the reason I commend Abiola University for allowing for student association at the second year of the establishment of the university. The first president of the university was Newton.
Yes.
Right?
Isaac Newton. And he is Newton.
Newton was Newton. And the administration was part of this program 1 or 2 with the registrar of the university. And we did a few things together. And consistently within that period of now, you are sustaining this tradition. This is very, very critical. I must commend all of you for raising the bar of students' representation at all levels. And you have even jumped beyond the traditional student union that witness. There is no university of polytechnic in Nigeria that have a bicameral legislature. So if you are moved from a uniform legislative system to bicameral, then this people and tells me more about the students' understanding about democracy and how we must strengthen this behavior for the optimal benefit of the students and especially the university as well. But in between, as association, either the Muslim community, the Christian representatives, the chaplain, the naval officer, we have I wanted to ask that you have that. You know, manual organization, there is need for a totality of coordinating system. We the student union executives that is headed by the president and is protected over by the secretary as head of the administration. It talks about leadership at every level that Mr. Toyyib has dealt with the nitty-gritty of issues of leadership. But for procedures, it is very, very essential. So when the dean requested that I come up to participate in this, despite today's tight schedule for me, I volunteered because I know what it means when we come together to share knowledge, to share social that provides the quotient several mentions to you. If there is anything that I've become in life today, I am only thankful to God that I took the decision to participate in the student union when I was in school. And when you remove it from my life, I'm practically zero. I can explain it. I was to be admitted into Futa. One day I went to the Polytechnic to visit my brother. I saw the football pitch, very, very serene and neat. So I had an admission both in Futa and in our poly. I've not been to Futa before that period, so I didn't know what was in Futa. But the Polytechnic that I saw was green football pitch. I wanted to play a football pitch. So I was very crazy guy. So I opted for a Polytechnic education to university education. But no regrets, and that is the truth. And in the process, there was a day we wanted to play. I started as a grade student in 2001. And one of the simulations we took, he has chosen me. They said, what department are you accepting? He said, you are a grade student who cannot participate in football. I said, possible. Why? How can you be sitting pitch? You said I don't play football. So by second day, I convened a meeting of our class members. And I said I wanted to become class doctor. They said, why? I said, somebody said, disenfranchisement the football page. And I think that if I hold any position, I'm going to challenge the person in another 6 months. So that was the basis for my election as the class doctor of many sides. So I began at that level. So each morning that I woke up, I addressed my students. Either there is nothing to say or there was nothing. I will just come in front of the class. I will tell them, good morning. Today we have basic courses. The lecturer will not be coming. I began to do 2 things, but I never knew I was preparing myself for greater leadership position. And the rest became history. I was in 81. I said I wanted to contest for sports director. So the question was, how do we do it? So I'm organizing difference as collectives. And the name of the group was Adidas. So it is not just the ordinary football Adidas, everybody says. You know, the AGIDAX really means A, alignment of D, dedicated I individuals to D, deliver absolute success. So you take the first letter as the acronym of alignment of dedicated individual to deliver an absolute success. It's acronym Adidas. So it was a team of young guys who were crazy. There were 6 of us, and we were resolved like 6 of us with part of solution. That was our solution. And we started from 6, 4 of us were elected across the world. And by 2008, when I returned back to school, I contested President Taiwo. Oga was the speaker. It was since that day in the parliament, you know, as far as the president must take a bow. Since that day, it became part of me. If I see small person, I just take a bow. It's as quick as I take another bow. Why are we cheering on these stories? It's about a simple beginning that stimulated into a glorious future for us. As president of Students' Union, the leadership challenges explained by Toyyib was as if you were part of the Students' Union. With smoothness, the worst, the best, and the craziest form of friends, allies. Friends became enemy became foes. No, there is a difference between your enemy and your foe. Your enemy is still normal friend. But if you have a foe, forget it, you go to talk for the day. You know, we add those combined people, but in between, I learned especially procedures, preparing committees, preparing an organization committees. Anytime the first exposure I had with the parliament, and soon the speaker was to be elected. The mistake I made was that I had a separate interest from another person as speaker. So the moment he was elected, so I knew that there was really a parliamentary problem. And I was prepared for it. And the only speaker will insist that this is student unity, this is leadership, was prepared for it. And anytime I was to address the parliament, I was going to get quite prepared. So it is the knowledge of the preparation I had in addressing my parliament process. That form the key basis of addressing for this one. The acting or the maxim that says when you fail to plan, you invariably plan to fail. And that is the hallmark about life for women. So it's about planning, it's about failures, and failures when you admit them get you regimented, and when they chastise or challenges will get you into more successful order. So I have three constraints into an area of covering within the next 40 minutes, and I intend to bring so an exact standard. Therefore, the things to me that prayers for facilitating the process to share my perspective on parliamentary procedure, creating a meeting agenda, assessing an organization productivity for the meeting, and operating an effective organizational project. First, the issue under this was a very relative related to as it implies to which certainly I will deeply recognize it from parliamentary perspective. Considering my exposure in both executive and legislative of students' unions and activism in Nigeria, especially as a permanent member of the European Parliament, I have become committee expertise to discuss or to discussions on parliamentary procedure. Let's take the right by this. Very simply, what comes to mind at the mention of parliamentary generally is assemblies of elected or appointed legislators representing a group of people. And in the case of Abiola University, it refers to the student representative constitution legislative arm of the student association. Largely, it can also be defined as the body of rules, ethics, customs, governing meetings and other operations of clubs, associations, legislative bodies, and other deliberative assemblies. General principles of parliamentary procedure, the rules of majority with respect. It's evidence from above that to accomplish the customs governing meeting for its operation, historically, rules of order originated in the very British Parliament. In the 60s, Sir Thomas Lee wrote an early formal statement of procedure in the House of Parliament, which was published 1523. And that was the grateful period where records of parliamentary procedures were taking place. And how does this apply to general behavior of democracies, particularly students' unionism? As secretary of the students' union, your constitution to be clear about what you are to do, what not to do. That the secretary, with the approval of the president, will summon meeting and correct meeting agenda for your meeting. What's the whole essence of this meeting agenda? It's just to guide deliberation because you don't have the entire day to operate. So you must be conscripted into certain arrangements of these meeting discussions. So the whole essence of meeting agenda therefore is also to identify items and procedural states the manner with which discussions will be involved, how resolutions will be taken, and how others will be accounted for. It's as simple as that. For effective guide, the principle of parliamentary procedures as follows: developing an order of business. For associations, you call it meetings agenda. But for parliament, you call it order of proceeding. It's just the use of language to suit different arrangements. So you call it the order of proceeding. Your meeting agenda will be written in any book, but for order of proceeding, essentially written in the order papers. When I was in the parliament in 2008 and 9, the late Yar'Adua proclaimed the Nigerian Youth Parliament, and 109 youths were selected across the federation that represented Ogun North Senatorial District. And it's an offshoot of the Commonwealth Youth Parliament. The first speaker of the parliament was Luke Fanofio, who later became special assistant to Governor Abiola in the Akwa later became a member of the Assembly. He later became the Speaker of Akwa State Assembly. Today is a two-term member of House of Reps. And by the grace of God, I will be in Akwa to lead his campaign for non-indigenous for the next governor of Akwa State. And you see the impact of legislative leadership and how we are to receive to get to the peak of public office, especially for the prestigious position of governor of the state. And for us, as we are not members, we have so many members in the parliament to also support. And by the grace of God, I also rose from zero to a little faith as special assistant to governor, which has been really cool between 2006, 2007, and students and youth affairs. This is the possibilities that are there when you find yourself at ends of leadership at this level. So developing an order of business is very characteristic applies to parliament, for the associations we call it meeting agenda. And writing the meeting agenda has no specific order there is a it, and it stays within the understanding of the president and secretary that determines what goes into the agenda. For the parliament, it's a generally different thing. The parliament has house committees on rule of business and other committee system. So for the Nigerian Youth Parliament, the chairman, parliament committee, and the rule of business is usually in charge of what comes to the order of the day of the proceeding or giving of a particular day, including the appointment of other parliamentary executive officers within the parliament. Then in the parliament, you also learn how to raise motions, discussion of motions. I don't know the vulnerability of your bicameral legislation here, but if it resembles that of Nigeria, my fear, therefore, is that in Nigeria we have a dancing senator and a singing senator. So I hope we don't also have one there. In House of Rep, they are synonymous with parking House of Rep. So I hope you are not the party having there. But either ways, you must be appointed when how motions have been raised. Any student at any level will advance motion seeking the inclusion of student representative council as member of the governing council. It can be a mere proposal. It is worth discussing. It is worth deliberating. And the resolutions are generally passed to the vice chancellor on the head of the institution as this will be. Amending the motion, and these are part of what we want to learn as parliamentarian. For time today, we may not have the available time to look at the nitty-gritties of those parliamentary procedures itself and how it also affects general meetings organized by students. And at the end of every deliberative moment or moment of the parliament, you must come up with resolutions. Resolutions are not laws, and you must understand the differences between ordinary resolutions and bills of appropriations that have been passed into law. So resolutions are just a normal outcome of meeting discussions, and we are coming to take positions. For instance, the Parliament of the particular university can pass a resolution that the Parliament will resort haven't listened to divergent conversations among distinguished senators. That one, senators should be given free accommodation. Two, House of Student Representative Council members should pay 50% of their accommodation fee because they are different between the Senate and the Representative Council. Those are mere resolutions of the House. There could be resolutions as to support the position of mind that 10% of monies generated for student association revenues be remitted to institutions development as a deliberate policy of the association. That can be powerful resolutions we have. The students can meet to discuss that. There are some students who, by extension, may be capacitated to pay their tuition fee. And the deliberate policy of the student union that a resolution has been passed that 2 students shall be assisted with not less than 100,000 naira of student union to support their educational system. It's similar to a scheme that our alumni association have just launched at Polytech. We understand students are find it difficult to pay tuition fee. So the alumni is supporting at least 10 students to a total of 50,000. So 500,000 have been IMAD to support students in form of student loan system. We're not touching it. So we identify students that are entrepreneurial in nature who are set to support the SME. So what the alumni will do for them is to pay for their tuition fee and ask them to pay to repay the loan within 1 or 2 years at the rate of 4,000 naira monthly basis. And there are a lot of young students who does that. So it can be part of students' resolution on these critical interventions to assist the university. And students have that responsibility. Student union leaders have those responsibilities too. So order of voting upon amendments. Yes, when amendments are made in the parliament, the way they are being made, those are strategic obligations that are being undertaken by parliamentarians world over. And since we have adopted the bicameral legislation, therefore, we must do this effectively, and this will enhance robust discussion from the lower chamber, the upper chamber, and the harmonized positions forwarded to the pro-chancellor. As implies in parliament, but not as an agenda, rather, order of proceeding and the printed and other paper. So the purpose of this is to make it easier for people to work practically and to help groups accomplish their purposes. Rules of procedure to assist in meeting, not negative. Assessing and organizational productivity, therefore. Just yesterday, I was with the former chairman of Code of Conduct Bureau to review of the state of Nigeria, the 2023 and the future of the Nigerian country. And the man said to me that he spoke with Baba Falai, just before I met with him. And he said, Baba Falai was telling me that nothing is expected in today's Nigeria. I said, AUSA. He said, Baba Falai was a cabinet member when Buhari was the minister for petroleum. That anytime Federal Executive Council meeting were to be held, they would have sent a folio. A folio is the compendium of activity to be discussed in FEC for that moment. So usually it would have been sent to ministers 2 weeks before a FEC meeting. So ministers would have taken time to peruse through to enhance their contribution at FEC meetings. So he said anytime Buhari attended FEC meeting, Buhari was going to come, and each time he came, he will sit. After 30 minutes, somebody will bring his folio. Then you will discover that nothing would have changed. That can be the first time Buhari was seeing his polio after missing 2 weeks. So he said, Papa asked him one of the times, Minister for Petroleum, anytime we are discussing petroleum, you are not even discussing. Since we are discussing national unity, that the views of God was failed. So the proposal at that time for building of refinery, which Dangote have fulfilled today, originally the first refinery in Nigeria was built in Lagos. All the indices, all the assessments, all the feasibility studies showed that if refinery were to be in Lagos, the consumption of fuel was about 70% by the Westerners or Abiola. So it was going to have economic value to the nation, especially citing it along the Atlantic or the Pacific Oceans. That was the original position. But when the matter was brought before Buhari at that time, Buhari was like, Nigeria is Nigeria and the economy could be anywhere. So the northern elite in the cabinet member was not satisfied with Buhari's position as Minister for Petroleum, who would have taken more rigorous position as to where the siting of the republic should be. Secondly, there was another influential cabinet member who incidentally was from Edo zone. So it was a person who managed to influence that, okay, better worry, we are still part of the West. There is water in Warri too. So let's Kokoma site the refinery in Warri. And likely, the Fed accepted that the project decided in Warri. So the northern minister now told Buhari that, see, it is not proper like this, that the northerners were against that position. But Buhari was indifferent. So Buhari now said, if the North was not happy with starting of the refinery in Warri, then go and start one in Kaduna to now. And he said that was how Kaduna refinery was built. Now, the point I'm trying to come up with is, maybe if Buhari had left the portfolio in the presidency, as Minister for Petroleum, if he was uncomfortable with citing the petroleum, the refinery to it wouldn't have come part of the agenda in the first place. Mr. President, if there are issues you don't want to be discussed in your secretary, you put them in the meeting like that. It's going to be there. But as for the president or the leadership that is not very effective, for a defective leader, we have the secretary to bring the agenda. The secretary will include the State of the Union, Roman figure 2, SRC, Roman figure 3, the removal of the president. The president will be so careless that you will not even read it and convoke that kind of meeting. And the secretary will just go like, you don't worry, today you will be the next president. And I've seen that kind of coup d'etat. So it goes to tell you the imperative of preparing for meeting and organizing oneself for meeting too. So each time Toronto discusses the parliamentarian populace, the pain of Nigerian challenge is leadership. There is no other way to explain this leadership. It rises on leadership and falls on leadership. And for us to effectively come out of it, we must have this organized approach of addressing the issues of leadership effectively or deficiencies within our public policy. So the same way when we organize ourselves for meetings, a productive meeting, a productive engagement is preceded by how well planned the activities of those meetings are. So that tells us about the state of Nigeria under President Muhammadu Buhari, where Gary has used to be 50 naira, 100 naira, dollar, it's about 850 naira today. Only recently I said I was going to eat beans as a protest against the North. Even in the indigenous or local explorer, which our God Papa that I rely on, is the same price as beans. So the question is now, what do I really eat and what is good? These issues rise and falls of leadership and how effectively as parliamentarians we must coordinate ourselves within it. And in between parliamentarian and very strategic to any surviving democracies in the world. When you check the US Parliament, when you check the UK Parliament, sometimes there are institutions that are stronger than the presidents or prime ministers of other countries. Parliament, the discussions of Parliament, the approval to inject this into the economy
the approval for withdrawal of troops from Afghanistan. It lasted within American Parliament for the last 4 years. Discussions are going on about it. Discussion of issues. But it's only in Nigeria that you see an and smart Alien and the Remiti Nobu who seem to be cracking economies and talk to the parliament. So there are no serious reasons to be in our national parliament or the Senate. The House of Lords looks more focused and more prepared. And I must congratulate you, not everybody allowed me to see a former support member, or like a Russia Seller was a first-time member and became a very influential member of the parliament. Go and check in Nigeria. If you go to House of Lords for the first time, before now, you are a floor member. But Dr. Bodaya Yomide, as a first-time member of Federal House of Representatives, we knew the huge impact. For the first time in Nigeria, in our several agencies, for the first time to be seen on national television, contributes to debates. If you are a first-time member, you are either a member of committee, but it was the first-time member who was chairman and secretary of the committee. So these are some critical values of preparing for meetings. So it's part of our preparation for national parliament. You must determine a man that is courageous, a man that is bold, that is knowledgeable, that is sound in character and competence to lead us. The same way applies to student council and student council. You know, I like to share a little perspective when I was president of the student union. And some decisions that I took those days, you know, my destiny is different from your own destiny. Just in the way suits now, it's because of this program. Ordinarily, I'm doing so completely to what I'm doing. You know, as a street person, as a radical mandate, as a man that is working for actualization of the new Nigeria. If we wear suits like this, it will take a lot of danger. No, we are supposed to fight. So we say, there's one, I'm not something like that. But then, that is not to incite you to do things recklessly. And when Mr. Toyyib was saying you must have risk, or you must take risk as a leader, but not a reckless risk. I never took reckless risk. And this is very important. I remember, but people remember too. The management said students should go to farm. I said I agreed. But the question was, the farm proceeding, how do we share it? Share with I mean, imagine somebody cultivates corn for 3 months, and at the end of the 3 months, they will not give you one of the corn. Is it sensible? So I had the formula. I said, let us make it compulsory for the agri-engineering students who are supposed to be trained farmers. And also tell them that for whoever does the farm publication very well, should get 50% subsidy of their tuition fee. And secondly, for non-agri students, instead of giving a rebate on tuition fee, whatever the proceeds of the sale is, give them, say, 10% of the proceeds in cash. And this is a sort of motivation. So that even when they are leaving school, they can see agriculture as a trade, and that is the value range that we want to achieve. And so the management say, I overtalk. And I said, it's not very serious to go to farm. I said, for me, if these arrangements are not going to work, and if anybody goes to farm, whatever that happened in the farm, it should bear in the matter. And I went out, we called conference, and I said, they called me, they said this, I agree that we go to farm. Me said, but these are the conditions, so that everything is a way easy. And so they said, they agree with my position. He said, management agree, or everybody remain in class. So and students took a decision that if they don't agree, they are not going to farm. So I had the students mandate to say that this is the position. So the next morning, they are invited as the commissioner for works, commissioner for agriculture, commissioner for education. They are giving an impression that the students are farmers when I was not aware. So when we were preparing for farm, prepared DJ to come to small complex for social gathering. So students were to choose between farm or they'll be dancing. She will deliver. And I said, these are the choices students have, and they whatever. But for me, I'm going to be fun. It's became a status that anybody can do. And to God be the glory. About 3 of us, we took our courses and we went over. The rest of the students, they were jollificating and dancing. So management were now there, and I said, what is my offense in this matter? And this simple thing almost, if I it cost me about 4 years. But I didn't bother about it because I knew I stood in the right ground. And the day I was to be appointed as special assistant to Governor Sheffield, it was a youth seminar like this in 2019. And I was only requested to speak for 3 minutes to give goodwill remarks for government. And I spoke my mind. I spoke when Dr. people feel as governor. And I asked him to apologize to our generation. And I also told him that I am going to be one of those that will remain to speak about me, because it's one of those that have remained to speak about what Abiola was and the leadership he provided. I spoke based on my conviction about the man I knew, about what I thought was right or wrong. That was me, that was my destiny. And for the first time in the history of my life, after the delivery of the church remarks, and the governor requested that I should see him, it was a clear standing ovation for that young boy. My father was never privileged to have met with anyone throughout his 96 years of longevity, including my mom, the nearest saw governors on television, probably on the street. But after the eventual, I discovered that every fathers, everybody just to stand still. What were they waiting for? He said they were waiting for me to shake hands with them. And when I shook hands with them, people, and I said to him, I said, excuse me, sir, I hope I have not offended you with my remarks. He said, no. He said, I will only be a commissioner for you. Bring the order to my office next tomorrow. And another biggest opportunity, I had an encounter with him one-on-one in his office for about 40 minutes. And we discussed. I repeated what I said to him earlier. And he said, we offered the hands of fellowship if I was going to work for you. And I said, I will not work for you, but I will work in your cabinet for the greater development of all resources. That got him inspired too. So my loyalty as an officer of medical was not to him, but was the greatest development of the people. Because I believe in the message that said the greatest good for the greatest number of the people. And this was their skill, their position as parliamentarians, as to the executive council. So today I arise to stand and address all of you. I do it because I've been through the leadership situation of so many persons, from grass to race. That was my story. And as tomorrow, we will expect that every one of you should rise again to address the next generation of people as to what's unstoppable and what we will do together. As parliamentarians, as executives, to the concept of preparing for meetings, the concept of preparing oneself for operational performance, the concept of writing meeting agendas are extremely important, but they are much more important to the procedures that you hold. But what you do with those procedures becomes the so why don't we have this? All of these are not still completed, especially completed. You marry them with an effective project system. Most people, most union, what they do is become an expenditure account, like it's a speaker, your income, your expenditure, that is budgeting. Yes, I can make you do acceptable. But the one that began in my further academic affirmation. So I knew that budgeting was beyond the consultation. So how do you get up for time in the day? So budgeting is ordinary. But my effective budgeting system for the organization is our time of delivering activities. Just like the boys who want to say that within this period and this period, I will achieve this. It makes your planning very effective because you have less time. For our ladies too, everyone is desirous to be okay. and to live a well-meaningful life after school. It's a function of time. We know that by next year, you have left school, you have mobilized in December, you have served and returned by next year, December. You pick job after 2 years, the first section will be guided that you know. It's about time preparation. And that makes your life planning very, very effective. So anytime there is a problem or delay in delivery of any of the section, you know there is a problem. That is how preparation is. So let's generate. So this movement is very, very important as you put all of these parliamentary ethics together to have a reflection in your daily life, not just within the parliament, but much more outside the street. And these are important moments that parliamentarians, when you want to measure your minimum performance benchmark against starting benchmark, you can measure effectively that you are doing. So in planning, budget is very imperative. In fact, it's going to attain certain measurement that the organization is achieving. Where items of workforce and time are well balanced. The lack of time has rendered the public projects highly ineffective, unlike the private establishment. However, the parliament has lots of responsibility when it comes to budget erosion, scrutiny, and abroad, and the tool achieve this maximally in respect of the constituents which they represent. And this is one of the ways to ensure an effective organizational projects that will protect the interests of the majority and desire of the minority. So, ladies and gentlemen, I leave you to these three positions that have guided me through my endeavors as students, unionists, and youth activists in Nigeria. The first is when you have a desire, and simply put, that when you aspire to acquire a desire you admire, and when it requires, you require to acquire the desire you admire. Which appear to you to take more considerably friend. It's about generational values and changes, especially the one that can cause the entire generation to cheat from. So while demanding for that cheat of marriage, we must recall the sayings of grandfather. That every generation out of relative state of obscurity shall discover its mission and vision. It's either you fulfill it or you betray it. So I leave you to the questions you must answer. Will you live or fulfill or betray yours? I thank you for your attention.
Yes, while choosing speakers and for that wonderful presentation, I want to ask if we have one or two questions for him before he leaves the program. One or two questions. Okay, I have one here.
We're fair.
Okay, please come forward.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, what we've always been seeing in Africa, people fighting. Now, the time I saw a video of maybe Kenya, I can't remember the country, and we are always seeing Nigerian senators fighting, carrying chairs on TV. So that has always been the mentality about Africa. So what do you think we can do? Because no matter what, as we are growing, we keep seeing these things, we keep seeing them and getting to do them at some point in time. So what do you think we can do to eradicate the era of fighting with harm?
Thank you very much. Yeah, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much. Over the years, I have noticed that in Nigeria, competent people don't get education. And it worries me a lot because you know they have the opportunity to use the country. So I want to ask, how can we ensure that we have competent people, competent peace?
Hello. Thank you very much. The parliamentary rancors is generally not new. And sometimes the Yoruba magazine will say, tí ọmọ ìyá méjì tó bá wọlé, tí wọn bá jà, wọ́n ti bá sọ òótọ́ rẹ̀. And what I pray for is that if the parliamentary rancor in our democracy will deliver the needed dividends to the ordinary people, let them carry ways and put their head. That is number one. Number two, it do not be said that it's an uncivilized culture, but it defines all of our existence as people. While growing up, somebody that a head URT chairman who accidentally made money and incidentally joined a political party, and in error, the governor of that state prescribed the NURT person for House of Representatives. Waiting they won't go there. If you don't fight, you won't be bastard. But all of us have fought. All of us. So in preventing it, we must rise as emerging leaders who can fight radically against one militarization of the electoral process in Nigeria. You know, we don't have time to delve into the issues of democracy, parliament, elections. And that is exactly what my party, the Labour Party, is currently doing. By the grace of God, in 2022, we will build Nigerians for House of Assembly and National Assembly elections for Senate. Our senatorial candidate will not be older than 50 years old. We will be the first party indigenously in Ondo State to build a 30-year-old person for House of Assembly. Yes, it's going to be expensive. Yes, we'll look for the money. As a matter of fact, I've started the campaign possibly by next year. I'm going to appeal to the student president. I'm going to be working with all the student presidents in Ondo State and state institutions. Let me tell you, the student population in private and public polytechnic institutions in Ondo State, all our density, population density, are not be less than 100,000. And assuming we have 50,000, I'm going to consistently be working with student union leaders from one campus to another between now and 2022 and a half to ensure that we mobilize 50,000 students and we get them to reach 1,000 naira to campaign sample. You know, funding of our electoral system, one idiot would have stolen money. We just elect you and give you 2 billion naira, go and contest for Senate. How you go win? You saw the last election we conducted, we shared about 20,000, 30,000 to buy votes. Monetization of the electoral processes. Those are the 2 things that have led to a rancorous parliament. Senator Magigi, the party election there, how you know carry this? You know, Senator Magigi, you know him, he's our corporate. Streets are for our street. Senator Dino Delay, you go, Jamaica, Senator Adenegan, Senator Smart Adenegan, all of them will carry this, and Senator Boro is usually white native. He will wait for the nation. You will move movement. Those are the part of the problem. So the more reason that our parliament at tertiary institution level, you must demarcate any concept of monetization. You must demarcate any concept of militarization. You must elect leaders based on merit. And these efforts must be taken into public politics. When you leave school, you must join politics. It's a must. When the wise refuse to rule, they suffer the penalties of idiots. That's how it happened. But actually, we had similar examples. We wanted to push the demonetization policy to our assembly. We got to one members of assembly. It says that he need to work. Except you are a stupid person. He need to work. Because you are also stealing money today to come and buy votes and be elected tomorrow. You are not. So let us leverage our powers on social media. Worry. Why not? Yes. It was suspended in India, suspended in America, they now try it in Nigeria. If people are living now, I will go to Ghana and tweet, come back home. So we must as people, we must speak against this monetization of election. Militarization of election. The pro-chancellor contested for governor, chief election within the People's Democratic Party. It was heavily monetized. Those people were paying 200,000 dollars. Even within the same party, they paid their delegates to get elected. Can you see the first level of madness? But they said the pro-chancellor did not have enough money to. But he said, what should they buy? What do you have to buy vote of my party delegate? Why are we in the same party? You know, does this make sense? If they say we share, does not even share naira, it's dollars. Exchange rates now have blown up. The idiots are withdrawing their money from Nigeria, putting investment in Uganda. Even in Sudan, they are investing in Sudan to rebuild the economy of Sudan. I pray that we have some other time to discuss some of these issues. That's why this is something. So, two issues that are really identified is that we must speak about the monetization of the electoral process and the militarization of the electoral process. Anytime they are conducting an election, you have more police, more soldiers than when insurgency are fighting Nigerians in this same Nigeria. So you have thoughts there now. You can't imagine me find myself in House of Rep. I will do big ball. If I go to the parliament, I will do a meet. I will sit down. Observation. You call me, I answer, you don't call me, I sit down, pay me, you come back home, go to House of Assembly, meet, committed to the service of the people. And before this also, we begin to show leadership with proven legacy. See, when you check the history of Abiola, like somebody mentioned yesterday, he said there was no way Abiola was going to be a brilliant person. He said there are a lot of professors within code of conduct review. When you give them folio, they will not read before they get to meeting. But the guy in a PhD guy, they give him anything, he would have read it. So anytime they got to a meeting, he was contributing from beginning to the end. Second professor said, I want to say, I don't want to be, I don't want to. But I will do respect to the academia, not these political professors. Don't forget it. So we must speak to those two issues, militarization of the polity and monetization of the electoral system. And if we are able to go without it in 2023, we will elect the first president of Nigerian history. You know, through a process of the ballot, federation and the next Nigerian president. Professor Yusuf can be the next Nigerian president. These are guys that are tested and knowledgeable. Forget about the other person in the Southwest. Those are the two persons who can be elected president in the Southwest that can bring democratic evidence to the people. Those are the two persons that we have. Any other person is a political network. Except in our party, if there is no president, you will see the panel for president. Vote for I will tell the reason. Then the Bros, this complaint. Forget it. If you have your way, travel out of the country. I was telling Dr. Nico yesterday that after we don't discuss the state of Nigeria, so Abiola wants to supply because forget it. Nigeria will live in the next 4 years. Yeah? Forget it, forget Nigeria. I tried, somebody said one conference, academic conference in the US. So I don't say, the US Embassy schedule throughout the year. US Embassy, all days of the weeks have been booked from 2021 to 2024. 2024, no one day. Imagine at least 100 people scheduled for 1 day for 1,000 days. Multiply it and multiply by 62,000. That is how much Nigerian. In fact, we are losing 2024 revenue in 2021. Say that you want to remain in Nigeria. If you, in fact, my plan is not even to go to US straight. I'm trying if I get Capone. And Rose Eritrea, Trinidad and Tobago. I've moved the next summit of National University. I will deliver it on my virtual list. So, you know, we are in a dear dangerous economy. Many of you that are reading SLC, you are not doing it because of the population who work with that. It's because of very difficult mission that you go to look to establish. And when you do nothing, people get work at the country, there is a voluntary. Many of my friends, they are nurses. We want to get oriented that way. About the one, actually, they say, postgraduate diploma in nursing, you can push that. So, you know, why we are optimistic as young people, but the reality is that we have leadership that are in the who have killed the quality, and only you and I can challenge them. Please, if you don't have PVC, go and register. Anywhere you are in Nigeria, get to register, get your PVC. They will bring 20,000 to vote against your wage. You may choose to collect it from an but still vote for a very private person. And that is the more reason that our networking as students across campuses must be increased. And if you have a parent that is part of the Nigerian problem, it's also the most voluntary for your sake, for us. Nigeria is not working. And I believe that we can repeat it if we have effective parliamentary system. And many of you are going to do it. So it's a real privilege that you have this work today. And I challenge you to do it well. So that if you are the president, recite on God's word. If you are a governor, govern us well. If you are a minister, minister well. If you are a president, lead us well, Mr. President. Thank you.
Yes.
Let's go to our thank you. Parliamentary. Thank you for putting us through all we need to know. That incidents, leaders, SRC, and rest of them like that. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let's get our hands together for this program. Yes, without wasting time.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. We want to go to the next presentation number 3. Communication and team building. Communication and team building. Our mentor is here with us. I've been under his tutelage for like 2 or 3 times now. And today I still have the opportunity to listen to him today. He's a very wonderful speaker. He's before I mention it, before I call him, let me invite Facilitator Esther for the citation of Dr. Abiola Akingbemisilu.
Good afternoon, everybody. Handing on the existing protocol, My name is Taiwo Adenegan, a 500 nursing student. I am so happy to read the citation for Dr. Abiola Akingbemisilu. Please can Dr. Abiola Akingbemisilu stand up and remember. Dr. Abiola Akingbemisilu is a versatile and prolific and dynamic public speaker. He is a registered member of Educational Media and Technology Association of Nigeria, ENTAN, formerly NIEM. He mentors a lot of young people on communication and self-discovery. He is the initiator, host, and presenter of My Tune, an inspirational radio program on radio AAUA 90.3 FM. He is the president of Abiola Educational and Communication Consultants, Nigeria. He is a researcher for excellence and academic of repute, and is the Default Kingdom campaigner. I present to you Dr. Abiola Akingbemisilu.
Take care.
The Dean of Students at Chivas University, my dear friend, Dr. Taiwo Adenegan, distinguished members of staff, the university, invited speakers who have spoken before me, and those who will come hereafter. Great Nigerian students, I heard you articulating great when the last speaker was speaking. I need you to say it loud. Great Nigerian students. It appears to have a complete circle of what staying unity should be. Somebody spoke to you in the direction of staying president, the speaker also expect. Let me just tell you very briefly that when I was in school, I started CJ of the student. So the Chief Justice, the Speaker, the President are all here. But my dimension is not going to focus on knowledge, it's going to focus on you as a leader. And I'm sorry, I did not be too comfortable staying there. I'll come close to discuss. I'll focus on a few things. The first, okay, I'll be talking on communication and team building, and that's the order of life. I understand not all of you are interested in it's not being said class reps, boys with great, is that boys with great? What do you call it? Man of war. Oh, man of war. And a number of others. Some of us, we have served in some of these units in some years past, and currently we reach the advice students in this direction. And so I am comfortable to speak to you in this area. I'll start by discussing communication, and then I'll move forward to talk about your goals and achieving them, and then building a team. But there's something that is common to all of us here. We are leaders. And the first question I want to ask you, who is a leader? A leader is not the person that sits on a very respectable seat. Rather, is someone who is a pathfinder. The problem we have around us in this part of the world is that people in leadership find themselves in leadership by accident. Some of you might be, some might be the heroes. But by the time you finish your studies in this school, I hope you would have recognized that being a leader is not because you want to lead, but because you want to find paths that is viable. There are three dimensions of leading: leading from the top, leading from the middle, or from the bottom. Whichever level you lead, you are okay. We do make this mistake to say that if I were to be the president of the student young government, this will have changed. If you cannot change as a course rep, the focus of students of Achievers University, you probably will not be able to do anything different when you are made the student union president. So leadership is not all about being on top. Leadership is about finding parts and being a pathfinder. You have a goal that you want people to follow you and move with you. If it takes you to beg them, if it takes you to flog them, if it takes you to appeal to them, all you want to do is you want to achieve your end. So all of us are leaders in one form or the other. But there is one thing I have observed among leadership that I think they have asked me to talk about today. I have a friend called communication and educational consultant. What we do is trying to let people have the right perspective to communication. What we do a lot of times is not communication, but information. So I want you to know today that communication is a dialogue. It's not a monologue. Husband slaps his wife because he tells the woman, put this there, and that's all. The woman said, oh, that thing is already there. He's not waiting to listen. All he has done is that he has given an instruction, and because the woman cannot comply, the next thing is to beat her and to lay his hands upon her. What do you call it then? He's a man. He has the responsibility to lead, but the other woman must receive the message and send it back to him. In the outline we have, there is a mistake of what I said and what was actually printed. I represented communication with two arrows. So you may need to put an arrow to the S. That S shows the sender. The R is the what? The receiver. So when the sender is sending a message in one way, it is information. But when the information comes back, it becomes communication. So when you send a message in two directions, then you are communicating. Members of the House should note that this is our position. If your speaker should say that in the House, and he didn't wait to hear what other members are saying, he had merely informed them, he had not sought their opinion. And if you don't take people's opinion in this age that we have, then you are not going to have an operation. I need a number of organizations, I need a number of faculty committees in my university, and I know what I'm talking about. That the easiest way to succeed is when you push your idea to others and let it be as if it's their idea. They cooperate and give you maximum support. For about 4 years now, there was a program called Life After School for final year students in Adebayo University. Just 2 days ago, we had this year's edition. And one of the things I did this year is that I went out and I was sleeping. I gave the responsibility to somebody I called the event manager, and this guy will not sleep. But in the first 2 editions, I was doing everything, and sometimes after the program, especially a very elaborate conference. When I finish it, I go sleep. For this year, I finished my talk and I was still bouncing. Why? Because I gave the idea to them, and it appears to be the idea, and they gave it back to me. I'm okay. So communication is not one way. It is what? Talk to me. Do it. It's a dialogue, not a monologue. Now, when you don't get the appropriate feedback, you have not communicated. I will stand there and speak from now to tomorrow, and you all are just there pinging. And I ask you when I finish, what have I said? You spoke well. That's good. Very good. It was just speaking differently. Asking exactly what I said. You can't give you that. That means I am not communicating. I have merely excited you and before you give back to you. So there is a corresponding feedback that should come from your recipients, that should come from your listeners. Are we together? Now, if I ask you, there are different ways of communicating. Some are brother, some are not brother. I don't know where you're from, but say you're from South Africa. And if I do like this, how do you respond? Just you. Without talking. It's finding it difficult to answer. Let me see how I'll do something. Okay.
Let me do something.
I'm talking to you. You know that.
Moment we look.
Just begin.
Let me go.
But if I do like this,
What have we just done? Now, the first thing I was trying to do to me is, are you okay? And this is, why should you say that? That's corresponding. But if I say this to you, I say, something is wrong. What's wrong? Two things. The first is that probably to you, this is, you are beautiful. I said this. But to me, this is, are you okay? So the feedback you have just given to me is not corresponding. If you don't get corresponding feedback, then there's no communication. One, I said it now. I said, I pointed to a shoe and I said yours, and I did like this, meaning that the shoe is good. I did like this. That's meaning. That's corresponding. That means he has just acknowledged that fact that let's look nice. So communication, you all will need to communicate with your subjects. If you don't get the appropriate feedback, let me tell you, you have wasted the entire time. Get the appropriate feedback. A good leader does just inform. What a good leader does is to what? Communicate. If you see homes that is fine, if you see homes that is flourishing, the dad in that house communicates with mom. But when the man wants to show that I supply everything there, I dictate everything that happens there, nobody follows him. Then we just order everybody around. See, we don't have our own friends. Just tell them we are all going to America tomorrow, and he has already gotten all of this. You should tell me, isn't that a good thing for a father to do? Looks nice, isn't it? But you should seek your consent and see if it's America yourself to go or somewhere else. You may have your own programs you want to do, then you should consult. That's a leader. A leader gives you ample opportunity to also use your own brain, even though you're the pathfinder. So you're not going to just dictate to your people, you're going to lead them by communicating with them. Tell them exactly what you want to do. Tell them how to go about it. Now, let me tell you very briefly 3 types of leadership and their communication. So, the first one I brought is autocratic or authoritarian leadership. Some of you are in that category. None of this leadership style is the best, but the 3 have their uniqueness. Now, what you see here is the chief executive in the front on top. I want you both to be in charge of drinks. I want you to be in charge of food, and when it's time for lectures, you just make sure you cover all the dates. That's the way I want to put you at the dates. Always on top, always above. It does not mix with his people. There are strengths. There are times you have to be an autocratic leader, and there are times you don't have to. Especially when you have people with a very good self-esteem around you, if you be an autocratic leader, you are not going to have an operation. And we try to develop people these days to have good self-esteem. You can walk up to any of your lecturers. One of my students, I just told this yesterday. She failed my course and she walked up. I said, I like that. You know what I want you to do? Please write to the vice chancellor and query my marking. I was like, sir, I can't do that. I said, you can do that. I might have made mistakes in marking. You, if you are sure of what you wrote in the exam, please request that your script be marked by another person. And let's see. And sincerely, I'm serious. I tell you, I want that kind of students in my class. It will make me to be more careful when I mark. A leader that just order everybody around because they make him the head at a time is not going to have a cooperation of all. So the autocratic leadership, the authoritarian is always in front, dictating to everybody what to do. The second one, participating. It's no more in the mid, it's no more on top. You see in between. Let's work together. This is what we need to do. You hear the language is power, we. The other one is usually you, I. When it's about the work, it's you. When it's about the credit, it's I. You hear them say, when I was in school, I did this. When I was in school, I did this. And some of the things you did were not because you did it all alone, you did them in a group, but you see them taking all the credit, authoritarian. But participating, democratic leaders will tell you that when we were in power, during our tenure,
During our studentship, you see them using the language her, we, because they love teamwork. Let me tell you this. When you get home, go and practice. Try 50 liters of water. Try to lift it all alone. You will. Call your friend. Let him try to lift another 50 liters. You will. Look at the energy you have exerted on that. Then use a stick to carry 250 liters, and the two of you carry it at both ends and lift it. You see that it's easier to carry 100 liters by 2 people than one person carrying 50 liters. That's what togetherness can do. Holding the 250 liters together and you lift it there, you lift it there, each person just as if we are not exactly any problem, any force carrying something. When we are together, we are stronger. When we are alone, we are vulnerable. Our university has not been there for 6 months, and we are working. Now, I keep telling people this. There's a slogan Hashem we always say, together, we value, divided, we beg. If you are together, I'm happy and excited that the Pro-Chancellor of this university permitted students raising me in school, shows the highest level of school. Sincerely, it's not there. So it's not what I'm trying to praise it. But that's the highest level of exposure. For someone to allow student unionism in a private school, I've been to a number of private schools. It means he wants you to speak. It's not trying to build dollars. You can speak. I tell students, speak out, but don't be insulting. Now, don't be rude, trying to make your point. Make sure you speak what's right, respect constitutional authority, but let your mind be known. It's because it's a democratic paper. It leads from the middle. John C. Maxwell, I put it there, says that when you think the only time you can lead is when you are on top, then you are not a perfect leader. The most effective leaders are leaders who lead from the middle. Just a few months ago, my department hosted accreditation, and I am not the head of the department right now. But when the team visited us, how are you making it? I was wondering why. Because almost everything they want to do, even the head of the department says, what about that? So you see me in between coordinating the higher members of staff and the younger ones. And they were able to say that this guy is actually supposed to have been the head of this department. So we rotate things here and there, everybody have their time. The role he had played is in the middle, but yet the edge depends, the base depends. That's the kind of leadership that's more effective, and I want you all to be. You don't have to be the Senate president to make the House, to make the Senate move forward. You don't have to be the cause rep to make members of your class do what is right. Let them work together. Be in the middle. And this other one, delegating, free reign. What this kind of leadership, we always turn it back to the people is leading. You two take care of the problem, I'll be back. You two do that. Laissez-faire attitude. Whether things are done correctly or not, is not concerned. All he wants is the title. So that on the CV, he reads, I was the head at this time, I was the this at this time, I was this at this time. Delegating. There's nothing wrong with delegating authorities, but you must know that when you have too much delegation, then you lose your power. You lose your power. Let's move on very quickly and let me talk about leadership and communication. One of the recent means of communication that we are currently working with is social media. There's nobody here that's not having at least 2 social media platforms, isn't it? Everybody? I think minimum. Facebook, everybody. Twitter, everybody. Instagram, at least 2. As we talk of WhatsApp and others. Do you know that the world is now a village because of this social media? Things happen right now, and America is making comments while members of Nigeria are not even heard. Something happened in my school the other day. Before it happened, somebody in Lagos called me and said, is it true? I was not aware as at that time, and the information is already all over the world. So the world through social media is now a small village. And that's why as leaders, you must be a proactive leader, else you will be a reactive leader. Most of the people we have around us are reactive leaders. It's when students have caused trouble, you see the dean of students jumping around. A dean of students that is proactive should have envisaged that there was a problem because they've not been light of units. Now I have to start with management. I will come back to it. He will have envisaged that there will be crisis because there's not been water, there's not been light, and nobody's talking about it. And these are things people pay for, and they should be having, the services they are paid for. Now, at the end of the day, when students cause a little trouble, they say that, and you now see him putting police to check students' riders. He's only reacting, he's not proactive. The people you lead, if you don't envisage the things they will say, you'll be a useless leader. Sincerely. You should be able to read what the outcome of something will be before that thing comes to place. That's who a leader is. Because social media helps information to fly around. As a matter of fact, this information that flies around on social media, if you check it most of the time, the validity of this information are not seen. In fact, most of the things that runs on social media, I don't like it. I don't believe anything I read on Facebook until it's confirmed over and over again. Because it can make you slap your mother, because somebody will post your mother as the witch or wizard, or pushing you all around. So, if you, as a leader, don't leverage on social media to use it effectively, you will only be reactive. You will not do what you are supposed to do. So don't be a reactive leader, be a proactive leader. A proactive leader is a leader that sees the problem before the problem surfaces. Knows the fuel will finish. I was in a meeting and the director of technical area told us that we have some challenges. It's a vigilant. He said, we don't have enough fuel. I said, that's your work. So yes, there's another fuel somewhere. So what you should do, if your fuel 4 liters will carry us for 6 hours, and we're going to be in an all night for 8 hours, what I expect you to buy is 10 liters. Because something may happen that your pipe, the hose may be leaking, and before you get to know, you have wasted 2 liters. So don't just limit yourself to 4 liters for 6 hours. Something can happen that will make you run into trouble, and we are 2 a.m. into the program. And then we realize something has happened. You won't be able to get fuel. So what you should do is to get excess fuel. In case something happens to your hose and you lose fuel, you will still be able to carry us all night. That's a proactive technical directive. So when they are doing the budgeting and they say that how much fuel do we need? It says 4 liters. Somebody in the panel will tell you 4 liters for 6 hours, but you are putting 10 liters. I said, I'm a proactive leader. I know that something can happen to our 4 liters. So I'm going to make sure that we have excess. And you can send your audit to come and audit what is left over. That's a kind of leader that's proactive. So the budget is 100,000 and that's all that is released. And something happens that was not budgeted for, we can't adapt. A proactive leader should be able to see before time. Now let's set our goals. It appears you're just coming to leadership. Or have you been there for a while? This current position you are in, have you been there for a while or just starting the session? So I expect everybody to set a goal, even if you have 2 more days to go. There is this immediate goal, there is this delayed goal, and there is this futuristic goal. Develop the 3. What will I achieve before next week? By a semester into my leadership, what will I have achieved? And at the end of the whole program, what will I have achieved? Set big goals. Identify your leadership timeline. For how long will I be there? For 3 months, 2 semesters, 5 semesters? Will I be running 2 sessions? Please identify your goals. The timeline, very important. Now, you have teammates. Each of them has a strength. They also have weaknesses. Some people are wizards when it comes to ICT. Some people are wizards when it comes to social media. And he's not a public relations officer. Let him do some responsibility that has to do with his area of strength. Said is the general secretary, but yet it's always on Facebook. Any little post he has reacted. Let him be the one posting information. Identify the strengths, identify the weaknesses of your members, and harness those strengths and weaknesses appropriately. That's what a good leader should do. Now, the next thing I want you to do while setting your goal is that what's the expectation of my colleagues? What's the expectation of the management? My vice chancellor put me in 2 university committees. I know my vice chancellor. I know what he wants. So when we started meeting, the first thing I said that if we do anything that is not in the mind of the vice chancellor, he will not have rated us that we have succeeded. So we are working with his mind. So I know the expectation of the management that put me in that committee to work with. I also know the expectation of my co-students or my co-staff, as the case may be. So if I don't put these two together, then I will not succeed. So what are students expecting from you? For once, they want an aluta. For once, they want the school to be closed down so that they can also practice something in the public. I'm happy somebody is going to talk about student journalism in private university. It's different from what we have in conventional university. Sincerely. And I don't want you to forget what happens there. They should forget what happens there. I lead student leaders in my university, and I know what I'm talking about. There is this way we build leadership in private universities that gives us quality leadership than what we have in public universities. I'm not in a public university. I'm trying to go down the university, but I have seen past student union leaders and seen their antecedents in current politics. I tell you, sometimes it's not the right way. And sometimes when you see the product of student union leaders in private institutions, talking from secondary school leadership, you see the kind of person they be when they come to university. Last thing, you said you were a senior prefect. Was it in a private school? You say yes, and that's why you are in private school. Because there's this culture we see on private institutions. In some cases, not in all cases. I know there are few exceptions. I know. So, what are they expecting from you? Sometimes you decide what they will expect from you. And what's the management expecting from you? What's the dean of students going to say about your administration when you are through? What's the vice chancellor going to write about you while you are leaving? Those are the things that should inform the goals. What resources are there for you? You need to evaluate them. What facilities do you have? You want to do magic and there are no resources, you will not be able to do anything. So identify what you have, see how you can use it, and be creative with what you have to get exactly what you want. Let's move forward by talking to you about this. That all of us, we all have strengths. And I always like to dwell more on our strengths than our weaknesses. Let me ask you this simple question. If this bottle had been to this level, how would you describe the contents of the water in this bottle? How would you? It's almost what? It's not true. I want somebody else to use another word apart from it's not true. How would you describe it? Half what? Okay, it's average because it's half full. Can you describe it? Everybody is saying it as if it's not full. You're just using the word full. There are many other things you can say about this. Can you talk about this emptiness? Okay, so now it's half filled. For you, it's half empty. For you, it's half occupied. It's half complete. So if everybody sees what we have in respect of the negative, we are not moving forward. So what I want you to see is that you define your cup as half filled and not half empty. Somebody will say, in Achievers University, we don't have this. But there are things you have that other universities don't have. So you should always see what strength you have and focus less on the things you don't have. These are the making of effective leaders. They see their cup half filled, not half empty. I don't have money. They don't say that I have limited money. Of course, you have something, but it's not as you used to have. They describe themselves in line with the positivity and not the negativity. So describe yourself, I am half tall and not half short. I am beautiful and not ugly, or I am partially beautiful. Because your assessment of you is that you are not absolutely beautiful. But you want to describe yourself, you should be able to say, I am partially beautiful or heartbreakingly tall. Describe yourself with your strength because you have a strength. As a matter of fact, you have something that distinguishes you from every other person. There's this man that will always speak good. And he will never say anything ill about anybody. So there's another person that died in the street and they ask him, this man that died, nobody can say one good thing about him. So what do you say? Of course, if you look at every antecedent of this man is negative. The man has been bad in all his life. So they ask him, you have been saying that you focus on the positive areas of life. What do you say about this man who just died? You look at it and say, yes, this man is dead, but I love his set of teeth. That's the only thing. It's bad, nobody loves him, but he has good intention. And so he identified just that set of teeth as all for him. His teeth is filled. So you have strength. There's something about you. Don't look down on yourself. See the strength you have. Some of you believe in fair people. So the only kind of people that look nice are fair ones. Some of you believe in tallness. If it's not tall, it's not a good guy. There is a strength in being short. You have a strength in being a dark man. You have a strength. So we all have strength. Focus on it. The success of an administration is the synergy of all our strengths. I'm good at communication. You are good at writing. He is good at meeting. He is good at writing attendance. Let's put it together. By the end of the day, we all have a very successful tenure. We all have strengths. Let's synergize. When it comes to anchoring event, there are some people. Yes, it's not the PRO, it's not the secretary. It's just maybe it's holding one of them. But when it comes up to hold the microphone, everybody's happy. Put in there. You, the PRO, you can do something else that you are best at. Don't be envious of anybody. The truth is this: the sky is too large for all of us to operate. If you see the people who are speaking things, it's different dimensions. I've seen different strengths, and that's the beauty of it. At the end of the day, you get this from this, 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 and we become better, and our better becomes the best. Let's synergize. If people walk alone, they die quickly. For people who walk in teams, they live longer. So which one would you prefer? To leave this terrible world and go back to God? Would you? You want to stay a little longer? Then use the strength of others. Consensus. You need to have consensus among your friends. The people you lead, this is our agreement. Your work as a leader is to take the consensus up and make sure that it is observed. Leaders should not deviate from the agreement of the people they lead. If you don't agree with them, they don't reach a consensus. But the moment you reach a consensus, please don't deviate. Believe in the aggregate of opinions. For us in academic, what we do is there is always what we call superior argument. So when I bring something to the table and somebody else brings something else, we debate it. At the end of the day, we should have a stand, and that is where I should stand each time there is a conflict. And so if our agreement is that we are going on strike, you will not see me in classroom. Sometimes it may be minority that is right, but if majority have said something and we have agreed with the majority, then let's go that way. Minority will have their say, majority would have their way. The moment majority have their way, it is expected for every leader to concord. So what you do as leaders is to make sure you do your plan, to work on the brain and work on the psyche of everybody and let them see the big picture. There are sometimes you can't bring things to Congress and everybody will understand. You have to meet people personally first of all, explain some things to them, so that when you now speak on the stage, they will all understand. And then you move together. And the moment you reach a consensus, please follow that. Never deviate. A leader is saddled with execution of agreements. That's who you have. They just send you to go and meet the pro-chancellor. They just send you to go and meet the vice-chancellor to say this. Now, you must use your brain while saying it, but you not deviate from what I've been saying. He said, this is this, this is that. When you get there, you must say, listen, I want to thank you for all that you have done. You have done this, you have done this, you have done, and we see it, we acknowledge it. However, sir, we still feel you should do this, you should do that. By the time you come back, you will not narrate to them that you have said, I appreciated him first, and I told him that he has done this. You said that I have articulated all that we have said. That's where your leadership extends comes in. Start with execution. Make sure you execute what consensus people have agreed. Zig Ziglar said that we see further because we stand on the shoulders of our mentors. If I were you and I want to succeed, I will make sure I have mentors among even people that are my leaders. Just 2 days ago, like I was telling you, there are students who will come into my office when a lot of students are standing outside to see me. It's because they are my mentee. They will not stand on the queue. There are offices I enter in my university that doesn't matter who is staying outside, I will enter because my mentor is the one I need to speak to. So, Daddy, I'm coming. He said, please, when you just come, just let me know. The secretary, the moment he said, let him call me, he goes in. While other senior colleagues are outside, he coming. You know why? I'm standing on his shoulder. You must have the same. Relationship is sacrosanct. It's important for you. If you don't develop good relationship with your teachers, with the administrators of the university, you will just end up after your tenure and there will be nothing to show you out. But I want you to take it a step forward that somebody may need to write something for you that will be useful for you aftercare. So stand on the shoulders of your mentors. Have different ones for your finances, for your career. Have people you respect that you speak to. And for the fact that you submit to a mentor does not mean that you are weak. As a matter of fact, it shows you are strong. It's a sign of strength that I submit to you for mentorship. I've seen cases where I ask my students to teach me things that I don't know. Does it make me less? No. They know it, I don't know it. And I need to use such, please do this for me, and I move forward. So we all need mentors. When I was writing my book, Say It Right, and I called one of my mentors, currently a vice chancellor in the United States. I said, sir, you are writing, he said, send it to me now, and in less than 48 hours, you will reply. Wrote it forward. And sincerely, he said, I read the book, this is what I saw, and I think you should do this. I have to amend based on his suggestions. That's where a mentor is. He guides you. Where things are not selling, mine will sell. Where people are finding it difficult, I enter easily. Now, I'm not the most intelligent man in the world. That's not what I'm trying to tell you. But I'm telling you that when you have mentors, you move forward. Let me try to end by telling you this, that we are only successful when the people that follow us are successful. Success is not your tenure. Success is when your successor is successful. So your success is not a one tenure thing. What you should do as you are in office, that you are grooming people after you to see the things you cannot cover, and then they will cover it so that all that you have built will be sustained. The problem in our country is because we don't have sustainability plan. I want to build rails. Another government comes and says rails is not necessary. I want to focus on waterways. Another one says what's waterway? I need to use the water. I want to go to irrigation. And everybody begins to do different things, different times. And at the end of the day, no one is strong. If you check sane society, if you check society that are successful, the master plan is there. What you come to do is to fix in your idea. So your ingenuity, your creativity is not going to deviate from the original plan. If there's no master plan, if there's no blueprint for student unionism in Achievers University, never you finish your tenure without putting a very viable blueprint. What you think student unionism should be, what you think leadership should be for 6, 7, 10 generations coming after you to still be working on. Be a pathfinder. Ladies and gentlemen, you must succeed. As a matter of fact, you are the one we are waiting for. And if you will succeed, you need adequate communication that is put together with other people's expertise. Let there be a synergy of everybody's skills. And I want to wish you success in your tenure. Thank you very much.
We can do better. We are grateful, sir, for that wonderful presentation. All we need to know as leader in time. Yeah, and you are a democratic leader or a delegative or a autocratic leader. I don't know if you have questions. Do you have a question? Please raise up your hands and let's see 1 or 2 questions. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes, please come forward. Okay. That's all. The fourth person. Please come forward. That's your question. We'll take them down. Then the speaker can help us justice to that at the same time.
Like you, sorry.
Thank you very much, sir. My name is Adebayo Olagunju. So when it comes to communication, you spoke about the types of leadership, the autocratic, democratic style of leadership. So in the past, in Nigeria, we've had this autocratic leadership. And when it comes to development, creation of states, building roads, payment of salaries, although they have their own faults. Like during Buhari's time, during his autocratic, so there's this thing is very high.
Why? Why is this in this?
So now, when it comes to autocratic leadership, it brings about a lot of development, or like democratic. In Nigeria, before they take it to Senate or Senate, wait from House of Reps to Senate, it's too slow. And although everybody, sometimes your opinions are different, but the question now is where we can bring in autocratic and democratic leadership, style of leadership to develop for good development.
My name is Abiola Akingbemisilu. My question is about the type of leadership. You said that the leadership should be communicator that works with the people, not constructor. So my question is, if from the small level that we have, as a culture, if you know your people, let's do that. Nobody is coming out to accept